Women Are Werewolves is a card-driven story game, which means that the central mechanic of the game is drawing cards with prompts on them and collaboratively telling a story together with the other players based on those prompts. It's a GM-less game, but it helps to have one player be familiar with the rules ahead of time so they can facilitate gameplay. I'm going to take you through how to play the game step by step, starting with setup. First things first, it's always a good idea to review safety tools before play begins. This is covered in depth in the game materials, so be sure to spend some time on that. After going over safety, you're going to shuffle the wilderness cards and draw one. This will be the environment your family's home is located in. Next, you're going to collectively choose your family dynamic from the provided list. This is where you're going to decide as a group what level of bigotry your family displays towards non-binary gender identities. For this example, we're going to choose our family is well-meaning but can be unintentionally hurtful. Once you've chosen a family dynamic, go ahead and grab the 3 interlude cards that correspond to that dynamic. We'll go over what to do with these cards in a little bit. Next, shuffle the transformation milestone cards and draw 1. This will be the milestone that determines when people start to transform into wolves in your family. The group can always choose another card instead if they don't like the first one drawn. With all that decided, it's time to create your characters. Each player should answer the following questions individually. What are your name and pronouns? How old are you? Do you transform into a wolf when the full moon rises? Are you happy with or without a wolf form, or do you wish your body was different? And finally, what do you do to unwind outside of the family gatherings? The last thing to do before play begins is setting up the deck. The game is divided into 3 themed phases: werewolf, gender, and family. And the deck is going to reflect this. Shuffle all the cards labeled werewolf and pull as many cards from that deck as you have players. For instance, if you have 3 players, you're going to pull 3 werewolf cards. Then do the same thing with the cards labeled gender, and then the cards labeled family. From the top of the deck to the bottom, the order of the game deck for a 3-player game goes 3 werewolf cards, interlude 1, and make sure it matches the family dynamic you chose earlier, 3 gender cards, interlude 2, 3 family cards, interlude 3, and then finally at the bottom you're going to place the epilogue card. Once the deck is assembled, do not shuffle it. Make sure that the remaining werewolf, gender, and family card decks are within reach of all the players. If a player ever draws a card they do not want to answer or that another player X cards, they discard it and draw another card from the deck that corresponds to what phase of the game they are in. Now it's time to play. Whoever most recently admired the beauty of the moon goes first. This player draws the top card from the game deck, reads the prompt out loud, takes a little time to think about it, and then tells their answer to the group. The other players may then ask follow-up questions. These can be leading questions, and they can be directly related to the prompt or more loosely connected. For example, if a player draws the prompt, when you were younger you met another family that is similar to yours and made a friend. You still keep in contact to this day. Who are they, and why are you envious of them? You might talk about how this other family has traditions that feel less rigid and that they play games during their gatherings while your family's gatherings are much more solemn. A leading follow-up question might be, what game from this other family's gathering did your family forbid you from playing? When the players have asked all the follow-up questions they'd like to, the turn order moves clockwise and the next player draws a card. Once each player has had a turn, it's time for the first interlude. Interludes are different in that each player takes a turn responding to the same card, and there are no follow-up questions. Each player answers the same interlude prompt. Repeat the cycle with the gender phase and then the family phase. Finally, after all players have responded to the interlude 3 card, it's time for the epilogue card. The epilogue works like the interludes, with each player answering the same card without asking any follow-up questions. That's the game. Setting aside some time for debriefing afterwards is highly recommended, and the game includes a structured debrief you can follow if you'd like.